This is a Seed World podcast. Hi, this is Mark Zinkowitz. I recently attended the meeting of the National Association of Plant Breeders held in Greenville, South Carolina. I sat down with several of the Borlaug Scholars again this year. The Borlaug Scholarship is a program that strengthens the plant breeding profession by helping support attendance of future leaders at the NAPB annual meeting. I sat down with Hannah Clubb. She's an undergrad student at Iowa State University, double majoring in genetics and anthropology. She works with Dr. Paul Scott on his research with organic maize genetics. She helps record observations, collect data, and organize seed storage. We talked about her research and also some of the challenges around going to school while undergoing cancer treatments. Enjoy our chat. So you're here this year, you're a Borlaug Scholar.
Yes.
Undergrad Borlaug Scholar. What made you want to apply for the Borlaug Scholarship?
My boss, Dr. Paul Scott, encouraged me for it, and encouraged me to apply for the scholarship. And I actually really didn't know if I would be able to attend as I was going through some medical stuff. And I luckily was able to get past all that and be able to come.
So what are you studying exactly?
Genetics.
And what specific crop sort of interests you the most?
Well, what I'm working with Dr. Paul Scott is corn genetics, and specifically I'm working, or I'm helping a lot with a gene called the waxy gene, and I guess I don't know if I want to continue working with corn in the future or if I want to try to diversify. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I do really enjoy working with crops in general.
So I was reading your bio, and this is what actually made me want to sit down with you, because you've had an opportunity to do seed storage, and so you've kind of taken an interest in the seed angle of things. And what kind of attracts you to that?
Oh, I guess with seed storage, I do a lot of organizing our cold storage area, and I guess I do enjoy that a lot. One of my favorite parts is when I am asking my boss about something to do with the seed, he'll pull out a random package and he'll just start telling me a story about that project. And I think that's really, really cool about the research behind that project. And I think that's really neat. But I also think seed storage is important because you need it for future use of it. So maybe if you stopped a research project or finished one, new questions come up, you can go back to that seed and look at the original source. I know one of the seeds that we were looking at, we're working with the waxy gene, and he thought that this seed originally had it, but then it didn't, he lost it over time, and so he was trying to figure out if the original seed actually had the gene in it or not. So you can go back to it the same way you look back at your notes.
Yeah, if you don't have the seed, then I guess you can't do the research. So It's important to have that cold storage and preserve it, essentially. So what got you interested in the whole plant breeding field in the first place? Was it something when you were a kid? Do you remember one specific instance where you thought, oh, this might be something I want to do, as a career? What kind of lit that spark in you that got you interested in this?
Yeah, I've always been interested in agriculture because I grew up on a little farm, and then I went and did FFA in high school. But I think the defining moment in figuring out that I wanted to do genetics as a major and then plant breeding was when my FFA advisor encouraged me to do the World Food Prize Iowa Youth Institute. And through that, I learned about Norman Borlaug and the cool things he did with like trying to feed the world. And so that's kind of, it was then that I kind of decided, oh, I want to do something similar to that. I want to feed the world. So yeah, that's kind of my story as far as my interest in plant breeding.
Yeah, what makes you want to, when it comes to feeding the world, I mean, that's kind of like a selfless aspiration, you might say. I mean, to feed the world, I mean, that's a pretty tall order. But I think, you have to be a certain kind of a person to want to do that.
I've never been hungry or have been starving, but it's just like it's a terrifying idea to me. And like I would like to minimize that amongst the people around the world.
Speaking of Norman Borlaug, you're a Borlaug Scholar
Mm-hmm.
this year, as I mentioned. So this scholarship, like why is it valuable for you to come to this meeting, NAPB, being a Borlaug Scholar? Why is it important for you, and how will this scholarship help you in your career?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is networking and getting to know the other people in my field and who have this similar interests and similar goals. I think that'll help me in the future, finding people who want to do the same things, the same research as I do, and might want to work with them in the future.
And speaking of the future, like what's kind of next for you? I mean, being an undergrad, I suppose you have a lot of time yet to decide what you want to do. I mean, you haven't even started your grad studies yet, so you're not quite that far along as of yet. So, the world is kind of still your oyster in that regard. But what's like one big dream you have that once you finish your undergraduate studies, move on to your grad studies? Is there one particular thing that you think you might like to do?
I mean, I definitely want to try to go on to my PhD, but I also am like, I need to finish my undergrad first and then think about grad school. But that's kind of a line that I have to play with because I have to prepare for grad school in the sense of like, I need to make sure I'm doing everything I need to do for it, but also prepare for the fact that what if I don't get into grad school? I might just go into industry. So just kind of trying to leave all options open.
You mentioned you had some health issues, and I was just interviewing Gen, who he actually has cerebral palsy. So we're talking about some of the challenges that he faces with his disability and doing his plant breeding work and things. And for you, like having had some health challenges during school and having to sort of deal with that, is there kind of a big maybe a lesson you learned along the way for how to advice for maybe other people who face the same challenges for how you kind of coped with that and dealt with your illness and got your studies done at the same time? I mean, that for someone like me who's never had a major illness, like I can't imagine how difficult that must be. Was there one particular strategy that you kind of learned to sort of try and manage it all?
I want to go into like specifics. I had cancer.
I see.
And so I've actually had 2 different sets of treatments for that. And so during my first set of treatments, I was able to like cut back on school and do part-time. And I think that was super helpful in my mindset for that because my brain was able to keep busy. During my second set of treatments, which I ended up having a stem cell transplant, I wasn't able to continue school, so I took medical leave. But the idea of knowing that I would get back to my studies, was a motivator for me to stay positive about the medical side of things.
It's only the first day of this conference, but I've been coming to NAPB meetings for quite a few years now. But for you, this being your first time, what are your general impressions of a group like NAPB, a Plant Breeders Association, in terms of the value of this organization? Has there been anything that struck you as to, oh yeah, I see why this is an important group, I see why people come to this, how this might be of value for other plant breeders?
I guess because I didn't know much about it before I applied for the scholarship, And upon doing my own research and looking at some of their core values, I just felt like they aligned really well with what my values were and what I wanted to do. And so I imagine it's pretty similar for everyone else who's involved in the organization and wanting to help people. And like specifically, I want to make crops more nutritious. And so I think that's runs along with what NAPB wants to do.
For more great podcasts, videos, and articles from this year's NAPB meeting, visit seedworld.com/NAPB 2023. Thanks for listening.